It started as an ordinary Washington quarter, minted in 1995 at the Philadelphia Mint. Nothing extraordinary at first glance. But to collectors with a trained eye, this coin is nothing short of a miracle. Hidden in its design are tiny anomalies that only the most observant could detect. Anomalies that can turn a single coin into a life-changing treasure. Most people think of quarters as pocket change, something you hand over at the store without a second thought. But in rare cases, a coin like this can take someone from ordinary to legendary overnight. Imagine finding a coin in your pocket today and realizing it could be worth over $1 million tomorrow. That is exactly what happened with one collector in the Midwest, a man who had no idea that his spare change was about to rewrite his life story. The story begins with a minting error so subtle, it almost went unnoticed. In 1995, the Philadelphia Mint was producing Washington quarters in massive numbers, each struck with precision. Yet a tiny batch of coins left the mint with an unusual die error. It was invisible to most eyes, but in the right light, collectors could see a shift in the lettering and a slight doubling on the date. To the untrained eye, it was just a normal quarter. But dealers immediately recognized its rarity. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin that this collector found in a jar of pocket change ended up on the auction block just months later. Experts examined it under microscopes, scrutinizing every curve, every ridge, every shadow of the mint mark. The excitement was palpable. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin, knowing full well that only a handful existed in the world. When the final hammer fell, the winning bid shattered expectations. Over $1 million for a coin that could have been tossed into a vending machine without a second thought. Collectors were shocked. Auction houses reported that this was one of the most dramatic sales in modern coin history. But what makes this 1995 P quarter so valuable? It's not gold, it's not silver. It's the story hidden in its tiny imperfections, a tale of chance, timing, and sheer luck. This quarter bears the mark of a mistake that should never have survived the minting process. And that tiny mistake? It's precisely what makes it priceless. Most people will never notice it. But for those who know what to look for, the difference is unmistakable. There's a slight doubling on the P mint mark, a faint ridge along George Washington's profile, and an unusual spacing in the date. These subtle variations can't be faked, and they are the key to unlocking its million-dollar value. One small detail missed by millions is the detail that can make one person's fortune. This isn't just a coin. It's a portal to possibility. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and countless collectors are now scouring their drawers, their jars, their forgotten coin rolls, hoping to find the same miracle. Because the truth is, this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. But there's a catch. Most quarters from 1995 P are completely ordinary. Only a tiny fraction have the minting error that makes this coin priceless. Dealers warn against counterfeit alerts, and even seasoned collectors can struggle to spot the difference without careful examination. This is where patience and knowledge become as valuable as the coin itself. The metal cold and smooth, the mint mark barely visible, the date slightly shifted, carrying a story that spans decades. Each line and curve whispers of a chance encounter, a mistake at a mint, and a destiny that only a few will ever witness. That tactile thrill is something no digital image or story can fully capture. It's the tangible connection to history and fortune. And then there's the auction drama. In one famous sale, two collectors battled in a tense, nerve-wracking auction. Each bid climbed higher and higher. One heart-stopping moment, and the hammer came down at $1.2 million. The room erupted. Spectators gasped, some even fainted. But the winning collector walked away with a treasure that began as ordinary pocket change, a quarter that almost went unnoticed, almost discarded, almost lost forever. Look for these signs. Check the P mint mark for doubling. Examine the date for unusual spacing, and observe George Washington's profile for faint ridges or anomalies. Compare it with a standard 1995 P quarter side by side. Often, the error is subtle, but once you see it, there's no mistaking it. Mistakes like this are rare, but their value is undeniable. Every coin has a story, but some stories have the power to change lives. This quarter is one of those stories. It's a reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the lucky. that a tiny slip in a minting process, invisible to most, can become a miracle for someone who recognizes its significance. These coins are still out there, forgotten in drawers, stuck in jars, hiding in couches, or nestled in loose change. Every collector, every hobbyist, every dreamer has a chance to discover one. Every ordinary quarter holds the potential to become extraordinary. Point one last, critical tip: avoid rushing, avoid assumptions, and never rely on images alone. Examine the coin under strong light. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe and cross-reference with verified auction results. The smallest detail, a slight ridge, an unusual spacing, a faint doubling, could be the difference between a regular coin and $1 million treasure. This is more than a coin. It's history, luck, and fate converging in metal. One small discovery can make someone's life, quite literally, overnight. And for anyone willing to search, willing to look closer than most, willing to believe in the impossible, the reward is waiting. It was a quiet afternoon at a small, cluttered home in upstate New York when a retired schoolteacher, going through decades of pocket change, stumbled upon a quarter that seemed different. At first glance, it was a perfectly ordinary 2015 Saratoga quarter, one of hundreds minted that year, appearing in countless wallets, jars, and couch cushions across America. But to the trained eye, and luck would have it, as I was unusually trained, something about this coin didn't sit right. Most collectors would have tossed it back into a pile of coins, but he paused. He noticed a subtle variation in the engraving of the horse on the reverse, a detail so fine, almost microscopic, it could easily be missed by anyone not looking for errors. This tiny imperfection, barely visible under normal light, would later transform a simple coin into a fortune that could reach $1.3 million. The story of the 2015 Saratoga quarter is unlike anything the coin world has ever seen. Unlike rare pennies, silver dollars, or gold coins from centuries past, this quarter is modern. Yet modern does not mean ordinary. Hidden within the minting process that year was a mistake so rare that only a handful of coins were affected. Only a few collectors in the entire country would ever recognize its potential. And those who did, they were stunned. But what happened next shocked even the most seasoned numismatists. The schoolteacher took the coin to a local dealer, expecting perhaps a few dollars above face value. What the dealer revealed left both men speechless. This coin bore a rare die error, a misalignment so precise and so hidden that it passed unnoticed through thousands of machines and hands. The result? This unassuming quarter was now potentially worth more than $1 million. Dealers rushed, collectors speculated, and an underground buzz began to grow among coin enthusiasts. Most people don't realize that quarters like this are not just coins. They are frozen moments of history, mistakes in the minting process that the U.S. Mint would never admit to. And in the case of the Saratoga quarter, the error was a combination of a die misstrike and an unusual metal flow. What does that mean for you? It means that among the millions of quarters printed, a select few carry a unique signature that makes them far more valuable than the ordinary change jingling in your pocket. The coin's value skyrocketed not because of metal, but because of the story it told. Collectors were shocked when this single coin, a tiny piece of copper nickel, commanded a bid in the high six figures at auction. Then, the world heard about the first official sale topping $1 million. It wasn't just a coin anymore. It was a miracle that turned one man's casual sorting of pocket change into a life-changing moment. And yet, even with this revelation, the coin remained elusive. Only a few experts could authenticate it properly. The key was knowing exactly what to look for. The die crack along the horse's saddle, the subtle doubling of the P mint mark, the faint raised ridge along the edge that ordinary quarters lack. Miss these signs, and the coin looks like every other Saratoga quarter. Spot them, and you're holding $1 million secret. Collectors who saw images of the coin couldn't believe their eyes. It's like the coin jumped off the page, one expert said. It's perfect, yet flawed, rare yet modern. It's everything we dream of. And for everyday Americans, the lesson is clear. Your jar of spare change could hide a fortune. That small pile of quarters on the kitchen counter, in the glove box, in old coin rolls, one of them might be a gateway to wealth few ever imagine. Imagine, for a moment, the sheer drama of finding a coin like this. One man's ordinary Saturday morning turned into a story that made national headlines. The auction house, once skeptical, suddenly found themselves dealing with phone calls from collectors willing to pay hundreds of thousands, even millions, just for a chance to own it. And every step of the way, suspense built, leaving everyone on edge. But the story doesn't end there. Because the coin isn't just valuable, it's a masterclass in spotting the rarest mint errors. And for those who want to hunt for this hidden treasure, knowledge is everything. You need to look carefully at the P mint mark on the obverse. Check the alignment of the horse and cannon on the reverse, and inspect the edges for an unusual ridge or doubling. Most importantly, don't trust your first impression. A coin that seems ordinary may hide an extraordinary secret if you know where to look. The coin could be anywhere. In a drawer, a purse, a jar of coins someone forgot about decades ago. One unremarkable quarter could be your ticket to a life you never imagined. This isn't just theory, it's happened before. And it could happen again. It starts with a minting mistake that no one was supposed to notice. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was transitioning metals. Quarters were supposed to be clad, a copper-nickel sandwich designed to save the nation's silver. But somehow, a handful of coins escaped as pure silver, an accidental miracle hidden in plain sight. Dealers call it the holy grail of modern quarters. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it all began with a single unsuspecting coin. Collectors who spotted this coin early were stunned. At first glance, it looked normal, a typical 1965 quarter. But under the right light, experts noticed a subtle gleam, a silver edge peeking through a clad shell. That tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The first public sale changed everything. In a small auction house in Pennsylvania, a retired teacher brought in a handful of quarters. He didn't even know what he had. When the auctioneer called out, 1965 Washington quarter, no one blinked. But then a silver shine caught the eye of one collector, a veteran who had been hunting rare coins for decades. His heart skipped. He realized instantly, this was no ordinary coin. That quarter sold for over $1 million in under 10 minutes, leaving the room in stunned silence. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News spread like wildfire. Dealers rushed to scan coins from banks, jars, even cash registers. Families who had been saving loose change suddenly checked drawers and couches. The market exploded overnight. Suddenly, everyone wanted a 1965 silver quarter. Prices skyrocketed. The whispers of million-dollar coins in your pocket became a reality. And here's the secret no one tells you. Most people looking for this coin miss it because it's not about the year alone. It's about the metal. Look for subtle differences in color and weight. Compare it against a standard 1965 quarter. Slightly heavier? Silver-toned instead of clad? That's your golden ticket. But be careful. Many coins are clever counterfeits. One tiny scratch or incorrect edge can mean the difference between a collectible worth a few dollars and a coin worth over $1 million. Even experts get chills when talking about it. A single, accidental misstep at the mint, millions of coins produced every day, created one of the rarest and most valuable mistakes in U.S. coin history. And while some coins were found in collections, most were hiding, forgotten, in pocket change, never expecting to become legends. In 2017, the U.S. Mint quietly released a series of America the Beautiful quarters, commemorating national parks and historic sites. Among them was the Ozark National Scenic Riverways quarter, a coin most Americans didn't even notice slipping through their fingers. But collectors who studied it closely began noticing something strange, something that would shock the coin world. Some collectors noticed doubled lettering on the word Ozark. Others saw a faint shift in the mint mark, a detail that almost seemed accidental. And yet, this tiny imperfection was what would soon make one version of this quarter priceless. Dealers began whispering about it in private forums. Auctions started to feature Ozark quarters with odd markings. And then, one man found a coin in his pocket change that would change his life forever. He had bought coffee that morning, paid with the $20, and when he got his change, he noticed a quarter that shimmered differently. It was a 2017 P. Ozark, but there was something off. Most people would have spent it without a second thought. But this collector had an eye trained for detail. Under magnification, he saw it. The mint mark was doubled, the lettering slightly misaligned. and the relief on the eagle looked almost three-dimensional in a way no ordinary quarter should. This was no mistake. It was a rarity hiding in plain sight. Why the next week, word spread across collector communities. "You won't believe this," one post read. "A 2017 P. Ozark quarter, worth $1 million? Most laughed. It sounded impossible. Yet the evidence was there, in photographs, in the coin's intricate details, and in the growing frenzy among dealers. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses began receiving frantic calls. Private collectors flew across the country to verify the coin in person. Prices skyrocketed, and the once ignored Ozark quarter became the object of obsession. Collectors were shocked when they saw that the coin's value wasn't just due to rarity. It was the combination of a minting anomaly and the story behind it. A quarter that almost ended up in a trash bin or a parking meter had become a $1 million miracle. One man's pocket change had turned into a life-changing discovery overnight, and the story doesn't stop there. Hidden in plain sight, more coins with the same anomaly were quietly surfacing. Some were found in rolls at local banks, others tucked inside jars of spare change in family homes. The secret? Most people can't see the subtle doubling of the mint mark, the faint die shift, or the unusual shine that makes this coin unique. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it, experts say. The doubling isn't obvious unless you're trained to look for it. The misalignment of the letters, the faint ridge along the coin's rim, the way the light catches the eagle's wings, these are all markers of the Ozark quarter that could make it a treasure. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any coin that matches this pattern. And yet, for every coin sold at auction for hundreds of thousands, there are dozens still sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and wallets. By now, collectors are studying every 2017 P. Ozark quarter they can find. The process is meticulous. Compare the mint mark to official mint images. Look for doubled letters in Ozark and inspect the eagle's wings. Examine the rim for a subtle ridge or anomaly. This is not a coin you spot casually. It's one you study with patience and care. The coin isn't just rare. It's the perfect storm of history and error. The U.S. Mint never intended for this version to exist. Yet, because of a minor die shift and slight misalignment, the quarter became an accidental masterpiece. Millions of collectors will never know its value unless they take a closer look. Some call it luck. Others call it destiny. But one thing is undeniable. This quarter represents the thrill of discovery, the joy of uncovering a secret hidden in plain sight, and the possibility of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Disbelief, joy, and the sudden realization that a single coin could transform a lifetime. From 25 cents to over $1 million in the blink of an eye. And yet, it all began with someone who noticed a small detail most people ignore. First, check every 2017 P quarter you can access. Use magnification. Look for doubling, misalignment, and unusual relief. Second, don't trust photos alone. Inspect the coin yourself. Third, be patient. Coins like this aren't advertised. They're discovered by those willing to look closer than anyone else. One man's casual coffee run became a story told across the world. A simple quarter in his pocket became a $1 million miracle. And the truth is, this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. You might think it's just another shiny quarter you've had in your pocket since 2002. But hidden in plain sight is a coin that collectors are calling one of the most extraordinary finds of the 21st century. This isn't just a quarter. It's a miracle minted in silence, a tiny disc of metal with a story that could change someone's life forever. Back in 2002, the United States Mint released a series of state quarters. Millions were struck, but one batch carried an anomaly so subtle, so easily missed, that even experienced collectors walked past it, until one man finally noticed. Tennessee, the 16th state to be honored in the series. For decades, its quarters were ordinary, until a single 2002 P. Tennessee quarter emerged with a mysterious feature. A minting mistake so rare that experts estimate only a handful exist. Collectors were shocked when the first of these quarters surfaced in a tiny town in the Midwest. A retired postal worker found it buried under a pile of pocket change, nearly tossed into the vending machine. He didn't recognize its value, but when a local dealer examined it, The reaction was immediate. Eyes widened. Fingers trembled. This tiny coin, no bigger than your thumb, had the power to fetch nearly $1 million at auction. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses scrambled. Private collectors called nonstop. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on any quarter that might match the anomaly. And yet, it wasn't easy. The secret lay in the details. Minute differences in the relief of the state design, a tiny doubling of the lettering, the faintest whisper of a die crack running through the mountains on the back. Miss it, and it's worthless. Spot it, and you hold a piece of history capable of turning ordinary pocket change into $1 million miracle point. One man's curiosity turned into a frenzy of verification. He studied every 2002 Tennessee quarter he could find. After weeks of comparison, magnification, and sleepless nights, he confirmed it. The coin was genuine, graded by top experts, and insured for over $1.6 million. For some collectors, this was a dream too big to imagine. A quarter, a coin you can barely feel in your hand, worth more than most people see in a lifetime of savings. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The coin's minting error is known as a double die obverse on the Tennessee quarter. That means the main design, the intricate patterns of the state's landmarks, was struck twice, slightly off register. The result? Subtle shadows around the letters, an almost ghostly echo of the words Tennessee and 1789. To the untrained eye, it looks normal. To collectors, it's a once-in-a-generation treasure. Dealers who handle these coins describe the thrill as electric. Imagine walking through your house, casually sorting coins from your change, and finding one of these rare anomalies. One tiny quarter, hiding in plain sight, with the power to turn your life upside down. That's exactly what happened to a retiree in Ohio who unknowingly stored his in a drawer for 15 years. One phone call later, his coin was on its way to an auction that could pay for his entire retirement, and then some. But the story doesn't end there. Even experts are baffled by how few of these quarters exist. Some speculate the misstrike occurred during a very short production window at the Philadelphia Mint, when a die was accidentally misaligned. The Mint never recalled them. They were quietly released, slipping into circulation like ghosts. Only a fraction survived, making the chances of finding one nearly impossible, yet not zero. If you want to identify this coin, here's exactly what to look for. Examine the word Tennessee carefully on the front. Look for doubling, almost as if the letters cast a shadow behind themselves. Check the back mountains. Any faint lines or hairline cracks that shouldn't be there are a sign of the error. Compare it against standard quarters from 2002 p. The difference is subtle, but to the trained eye, unmistakable. Mistake it, and you're holding just another 25-cent piece. Spot it, and you could be holding a fortune. This is the kind of coin that turns ordinary people into legends in the coin community. Every auction, every appraisal, every expert witness recounts the same reaction: disbelief, awe, and an unshakable sense that history is in the palm of your hand. And remember, it doesn't have to be tucked away in a fancy collection. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. That's how fragile, and yet how spectacular, this discovery is. So, before you toss that jar of quarters into the bank, take a closer look. The 2002 Tennessee quarter might be hiding in your own drawer, waiting for the moment it transforms your life forever. Millions of coins were minted that year, but only one has the power to make history. Only one could be worth $1.6 million. Only one could be yours. The 2014 State Everglades quarter isn't just a coin. It's a secret, a hidden treasure, and for those who spot it in time, it could be worth up to $1.7 million. Yes, $1 million. And the story behind it will shock you. It all began quietly at the Philadelphia Mint. Thousands of quarters rolled off the press every day, destined for wallets, cash registers, and everyday transactions. But somewhere in the mechanical chaos, a rare anomaly occurred, an almost invisible misstrike that changed the fate of a few coins forever. Collectors would later call it the ghost of the Everglades quarter, a tiny imperfection that would turn ordinary change into life-changing treasure. Most people never even notice the difference. To the untrained eye, it looks like any other 2014 Everglades quarter. But there's a secret hidden in plain sight, that can make a coin worth millions. Dealers, once they spot it, can't stop talking about it. One misaligned detail, one small minting glitch, transforms this quarter into one of the rarest coins in American history. That's exactly what most people thought until they saw the auction results. One coin, pulled from a dusty collector's album, sold for an astonishing sum, more than $1 million. The crowd gasped. Experts called it unprecedented. And the man who found it, he couldn't believe his luck. One simple coin had turned into a fortune overnight. That it's not just the misstrike. It's a combination of factors so rare, so elusive, that even seasoned collectors miss them. The mint mark, P, the exact spacing of the letters, the subtle doubling of the design. These tiny details hold the key. And most people, when they look at their change, will never see them. The story of its discovery is almost cinematic. A retiree, cleaning out a childhood coin collection, noticed something odd about a quarter he had for decades. The detail was almost imperceptible, a faint shift in the lettering that made his heart stop. He had stumbled upon what collectors call a $1 million coin. That day, a small pocket change miracle became reality, and his life would never be the same. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were rushing to verify every coin in their inventory. News outlets called it the coin story of the decade. One tiny piece of metal, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, had caused an entire community of collectors to stop in their tracks. And the reason? That small, almost invisible flaw in the design, an error only the sharpest eyes could catch. Not every 2014 P. Everglades quarter is valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth face value. It's only this rare misstrike, this almost hidden glitch, that transforms it into $1 million treasure. That's why experts caution collectors to inspect every detail. Look for subtle doubling, check the alignment, examine the P mint mark carefully. Missing these signs could mean overlooking the find of a lifetime. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He didn't seek fame. He didn't look for fortune. He simply had an eye for the unusual. And in that moment, a dusty quarter became more than currency. It became history. It became a legend. It became priceless, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The story didn't end at the auction. Word spread like wildfire. Collectors began digging through old albums, wallets, even jars of loose change. Dealers reported a surge in demand. Suddenly, everyone was looking for that elusive 2014 P. Everglades quarter with the rare misstrike, the way the edge aligns with the design, the microscopic doubling along the word Everglades, and the spacing of the mint mark. Experts say most people won't notice it, even if it's sitting in front of them. But those who do, they change their lives. You're at a garage sale, flipping through coins for fun. You spot a quarter that seems just a little off. It doesn't scream rarity. It doesn't sparkle with obvious value. But your trained eye catches the misalignment. You hold it up, and suddenly, everything changes. That's the moment a $1 million fortune can appear from the ordinary, from the everyday. Collectors who discovered these quarters early made headlines. Some sold at auction for sums that seemed impossible. One coin fetched over $1.7 million, shattering expectations. The story circulated online, in forums, and through collector communities. And yet, most people never heard about it, never even considered checking their change. It must be a clear P. Next, look closely at the lettering in Everglades. Tiny doubling, almost imperceptible, is the hallmark of this treasure. Inspect the edge for slight deviations in alignment. These subtle imperfections are what turn an ordinary quarter into a life-changing find. And remember, the difference is so small, so easily overlooked, that even experienced collectors can miss it. The Everglades quarter is more than just a coin. It's a story of chance, of patience, and of discovery. One ordinary day can turn extraordinary when the right coin falls into the right hands. And for those who know where to look, the reward isn't just financial. It's the thrill, the rush, the excitement of holding history in your palm. But most importantly, don't underestimate your own collection. That jar of quarters on your counter, that old coin album tucked away in a closet, anywhere, really, could hide the 2014 P. Everglades quarter that's worth over $1 million. One misaligned letter, one tiny doubling, and suddenly, your life could change forever. This isn't just theory. This isn't legend. This is real. Dealers have verified it. Collectors have sold it. Auctions have confirmed it. And the most incredible part? That exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million.